Hey, you're on the left-hand path, aren't you? But you think it's about throwing up devil horns, yelling, "Hail Satan," listening to black metal and telling anyone who will hear how much you hate Christians. But the truth is, you're not getting much out of this, are you? Even though you relished in that initial thrill of being rebellious, you're still unfulfilled. Why? Because you've emptied your psyche when you decided religion was bullshit and you haven't refilled it. I've touched on this subject more than once, but you have to realize you can't fill that God-shaped hole you have with sex, drugs, alcohol, or acts of petty rebellion. Believe me, I've tried. Nourishing the psyche is important, and for thousands of years, we human beings have opened portals to our subconscious through living a life of symbolism. But once you walked away from the belief of your parents, you've emptied your psyche, because religion, living a religious existence, is living a symbolic life. Mythology is a form of symbolism, and the Bible is mythology with a bit of history, a tiny bit of history, and archaic laws thrown in. And some of that mythology, that symbolism, it's okay. Most of it, though, is not okay. The Bible's filled with slave morality and slave mentality, where one must fear and beg the master to have a worthy existence. But when you let all that go, those old beliefs, you've disconnected from the symbolic life. And Carl Jung lamented that modern man is in deep need of the meaning of symbols. We have no symbolic life, and we are all badly in need of the symbolic life. Only the symbolic life can express the need of the soul, the daily need of the soul, mind you. And because people have no such thing, they can never step out of this mill, this awful, banal, grinding life in which they are nothing but. Jung strongly promoted living the symbolic life, taking symbolic experiences seriously. And we who partake in the occult from a left-hand path perspective, we already do this. Besides being drawn to those entities we're all familiar with, such as Satan, Lucifer, and the many demons, there are those obvious symbols, such as demonic sigils, the Norse staves, or Baphomet, that most grand of all occult symbols. But where does this need for a symbolic life come from? It all begins in the collective unconscious where the archetypes dwell, which one could look at as autonomous entities that organize the contents of the unconscious and connect it at its deepest level with all. And the archetypes express themselves with those gods and monsters, angels and demons we're all familiar with, and with symbols we can never fully understand. These are images that present themselves to us as representatives of the outside world, but are also used by the psyche to express the inner world. Thus, the external object that represents some unknown inner object becomes a symbol, which is the best possible representation of something that can never be known. Finding meaning in these symbols, beyond what we already understand it to be, is the idea of symbolic thought. This process opens portals to the archetypes, as well as a vehicle to navigate the deeper parts of the unconscious. Symbolic work with an image is the mysterious process of seeking the essence of an image and understand its subjective impact upon oneself as meaning. One must discover what lies beneath, behind, or beyond the surface level in order to notice patterns that resonate with one's own self. Symbols surround us every minute of the day, and many reach out and grab us, begging us to notice them. What would happen if you focused on a symbolic image every day, a dream image, something given to you by the psyche, or something that grabs your attention and won't let it go? You might be transformed by these powerful messages from the psyche simply by tuning in and paying attention. When a society places too much emphasis on the rational, there is little room left for the symbolic life, which we sorely lack. Although symbol formation is one of the most essential manifestations of the human mind, we pay far too little attention to its capacity to bring insight, empowerment, and meaning to our existence. When we're aware of our dreams and fantasies, when we pay attention to life's synchronicities and strange twists, when we're deeply moved by a book, a film, a poem, or a piece of art, and especially when we partake in ritual, dark ritual, we open doors to such a life, an honest life where we don't ignore the horrors of the abyss. So if you're stagnant while attempting to partake in this life, this life of the dark occultist, means your vehicle is broken down on the path. Remember, it's called a path for a reason. And all paths have one thing in common. They have a destination. And living a symbolic life is paramount in the development of the soul to reach that destination.